It's one of the most talked about movies of the year, at least in film circles, and it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And now it is available on Tubi for everyone to watch for free. Let's talk about Hundreds of Beavers. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for this movie, Hundreds of Beavers. It's available now on Tubi, and I've been hearing about this for months and months. It was around briefly at the Art House Theater near me, but I did not get the chance to see it. But I've heard about it. It's got all of this high praise in film circles, so I was very curious, and we're going to get to this in just a moment. But first, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much for that. But if you're not, please consider subscribing, click that notification bell. But you could just like this video as well or comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out as well. So this is a slapstick silent comedy film, and it is directed by Mike Cheslick and stars Ryland Brixton Cole Tews. That's one person. And the two of them wrote this movie as well. So this is a project of love for these guys, self-financed, self-made, self-distributed, all of that, reminding me a lot of sort of, the Kevin Smith days of the mid-90s. And now, obviously, with the technology, anybody really can make a movie, I suppose. But, can they make one that sparks conversation? Can they make one that actually, gets theatrical release and makes some money? I don't know, but this certainly is among those that can. And this is a very, very interesting movie. So the basic premise is, this takes place in the 19th century, and this dude who is an Applejack salesman, and Applejack is a specific kind of liquor, not the cereal, but I guess that's where the cereal gets its name. I never really knew what an Applejack was before that, but his name is Jean Kayak, and he has an orchard destroyed when a bunch of beavers eat one of the support beams, and basically that rolls into the fireplace, it explodes everything, and so he spends most of this movie trying to find and catch food, and then find and catch the beavers. And there's a subplot with this girl that he likes that is the daughter of the shop owner that he goes to buy knives and whatever to try and stop the beavers and the other land creatures as well. He's really after the beavers, but in terms of trying to find food, he's going after rabbits, etc. So, boy, I mean, okay, so where do I start? First of all, this is let's start with all the positives, because there's a lot. This is wildly original. Now, if you look in terms of the inspirations, okay, maybe not. It's certainly clearly taking a lot of pages from the 1920s and 30s, slapstick comedies, Buster Keaton, all of those silent stars. Also clearly taking a lot from the Looney Tunes catalog, specifically Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner, maybe some Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny kind of stuff too, certainly with the big giant bunnies in this. But also, it has a more modern sensibility in a sense as well, because it is very similar to some video games. And I wore my Sonic shirt, for this review, but it's not necessarily like a Sonic type game, but it's like a quest type of game, like a Legend of Zelda, or any game where you have to stop at a shop throughout and sort of use what you've earned to, buy this or that to help you along your way. Kid Icarus is another one of my favorites from growing up that kind of came to mind there. There's a shopkeeper there, and, he's kind of a jerk, whatever. And Zelda, same thing. So I like that aspect to it as well. It made it a little more modern and not just, okay, this guy is just kind of redoing some stuff from the 20s and 30s. Clearly his inspiration comes from that, but there's a little bit of a more modern sensibility with that too, which I really, really appreciated. I didn't expect that going in. There are some laughs to be had here, although I think the ratio of gag to actual laugh is probably much lower, just because, I mean, there's a gag probably every, 10 to 15 seconds in this movie. I definitely didn't laugh that much, but certainly it is noble to seek that out. I mean, he really well, both of the guys that wrote it, but the actor and the director really going for it. With those different visual gags, coming up constantly throughout the movie. So all right, those are the positives. Look, it's very original and all of that, but. Let's talk about a little bit of the negatives because the couple of negatives I have are pretty glaring. The most obvious one is that it's just too long. No movie like this should be like an hour and 50 minutes. This is a 75-minute movie, I think, at most. The plot is very thin. And, when you think about those old Looney Tunes comedies, they're all like 7.5 minutes, right? That's back in the day. It was the reels, the big film canister reels, and I think they only fit like 8 minutes or whatever of stuff. So when you would hear something be called like a two reeler, that was like a Three Stooges would be a two reeler because they were about 15 or 16 minutes. And a lot of the Charlie Chaplin shorts and Buster Keaton shorts were like that. This movie has no business being as long as it is because it gets a bit tiresome. Also, the intro is 32 or something, 33 minutes, because we have this song at the beginning that describes what's going on, who the Applejack salesman is, and all of that. That lasts maybe 2 minutes. And then there's just all of these gags with him trying to find food. That's kind of the Wile E. Coyote aspect of the movie. That goes for a half hour. I thought that was going to be the entire movie, which it wasn't. They sort of chopped it into like three different kind of segments, I guess. But like 32 minutes in is the title sequence, and we have here's who stars in it and written by whatever. And wow, I mean, over a half hour into the movie, there was a movie a few years ago. It was nominated for a bunch of Oscars called Drive My Car, and it did something similar. The title sequence, and I saw it with my buddy Tim, and I leaned over. I was like, "Is this really the beginning of the movie?" Like it was 30 minutes or whatever in. But yeah, this is another one like that, and I don't quite. They could have trimmed easily 20 minutes from that opening segment. Yeah, there were some good gags, but we got it. It was getting a bit repetitious at times with that. And then just chapter 2 could have been trimmed a little bit. The trial in chapter 3 could have been trimmed a little bit. So look, this movie has no business being nearly as long as it is. That's my biggest complaint about it. The complaints I might have about some of the visual components, I think, were done on purpose. First of all, it's on a shoestring budget, so you're gonna get some things that look, sort of overlaid, but that's what they looked like in the 20s. And so, part of me is like, okay, budget constraints, but part of me was like, I think they actually did the best they could with that because it is sort of a little bit of an homage to some of those, film overlays from even going back to the 1900s with like George Méliès and stuff like that. So I can really appreciate all of that for what it is. But look, overall, I think this movie is not, like a masterpiece. I think 97% on Rotten is a bit high. It's on Letterboxd. I believe it is the number 5 movie of the year according to the users. There's they do the algorithm or whatever with that, and it's the number 5 movie. I think all that's a little bit high. This movie is definitely interesting and original and experimental. As an experiment, I think it works great. But as a full feature length, almost 2-hour movie, it is a little bit long in the tooth for me. A half hour easily could have been taken off this movie and not lost any of the the themes and the experiment that they were sort of going for with that. But I got to give credit where credit is due. We always talk about we need more original films and all of that, and this is certainly that. So it's absolutely a positive grade. But it's not like in the A or A plus range that I guess I was maybe thinking it might be going into it with all of the accolades it had. But I leave Hundreds of Beavers with a very solid B. Definitely too long, but wow. I mean, what you could do with a very minimal budget in terms of effects and everything else. This is a triumph in that regard. Certainly. And like I mentioned, you can see it now for free on Tubi. Now, Tubi does have ads if you're not familiar with that, but everybody with an internet connection can get Tubi absolutely free. So you can check this one out there. All right. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time. Bye.